I asked you guys your Christmas content suggestions, and I was recommended quite a bit. This suggestion comes from Warhawk Beyond 2040, and that is the new Batman Adventures episode Holiday Night, which is actually the first episode of the series. This episode has 3 super stories, which is a format that reminds me a lot of older comics with how they used to have like 3 to 5 stories in one comic. Although they're kind of doing that again now with the whole like 2 stories of the title character, or at least a story that was related to the first story. For example, they had a Punchline backup in the Joker comic. But back in the day, they used to do this like really weirdly and randomly. For example, there would be Batman comics with Nemesis as a backup and Supergirl comics with Zatanna as a backup. But while it worked for a while, people started to get annoyed with how the fact that a lot of times the backup character would get more attention than the actual main character. Because despite the fact that it's called a backup story, a lot of the times they would actually have more pages than the first story. So a lot of people thought they were actually taking away from the first story, or they weren't getting much attention. So at the end of the day, they ended up getting rid of that. However, they're bringing it back, like I said. So I'm not entirely sure what people think about this. Personally, I like the idea, but I can see this not really working out for certain characters. Because if I bought a Batman comic, I want to be reading about Batman for all the pages. I don't want to stop halfway through and start reading about a new guy named Nemesis. However, if it was a Zatanna backup in a Batman comic, I would be okay with that because I like Zatanna. So I guess it really depends on who you like and who you don't. Because I don't care about Nemesis, but I like Zatanna, so I'll be all for if Zatanna got a backup in some other story. But if Nemesis did and I wasn't aware of it, I would be pretty upset. However, they would typically include some sort of box or something saying that there is a backup issue in that comic, but a lot of times they would forget or just presume that the person already knows that. Now, this episode's format is actually a lot more similar to the more modern-day separate stories, and that is because all the characters are related somehow, and that is because they are all Batman-related characters. They don't randomly sneak attack you with a Nemesis Christmas story, although that would have been really funny if they did. One story is about Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy's Christmas, where they hypnotize Bruce Wayne into buying them stuff. However, he does manage to break out of their control, and Batman manages to take them down. This story also has a lot of family banter between Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, as Harley Quinn wants a Christmas tree, but Poison Ivy, being Poison Ivy, who's all about the green, does not want to cut down a tree. The other Christmas story doesn't have Batman, Poison Ivy, or Harley Quinn in it. Instead, it's about Batgirl, Clayface, Renee Montoya, and Harvey Bullock. Clayface has separated himself into 4 different children robbing a mall, but Batgirl catching one of the children only to find out that it's actually a part of Clayface, and they fuse together. She quickly gets dressed as Batgirl and defeats Clayface with the help of Renee Montoya and Harvey Bullock, the latter of which was dressed up as Santa Claus due to the fact that he was there as the mall Santa Claus. And the final story isn't actually a Christmas story at all, but instead a New Year's Eve story. With Joker having taken over the television stations on New Year's Eve, Batman and Robin have to find him, which isn't easy as they have to go through a lot of obstacles. But they do manage to defeat the Joker after finally finding his location. However, Batman does take a bullet to the shoulder here, which is actually quite surprising because this show is typically kid-friendly, or at least family-friendly, so it was surprising to me that they actually had Batman get shot. However, I did like that detail because it showed that Batman isn't invincible, because he isn't. He's just a human, but he kept going after he got shot. And the episode ends with Batman and Gordon having a cup of coffee later together, with Batman disappearing before James Gordon could even attempt to pay for the bill, with Batman having already paid for it. Out of all these stories, I think the Joker one is the most serious and likely to gain most attention due to the fact that the stakes are high with Batman getting shot. It's also very well written. The Harley and Ivy one comes across as extremely funny, and in my opinion, definitely is more light-toned, considering the fact that one involves Joker shooting Batman, and the other one involves hypnotizing Batman to buy them stuff. But there's nothing wrong with being a light-toned Batman story, because in my opinion, it was a great story, and it was really funny, and I always love seeing Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy interact. While the Batgirl one did feel a little bit like a filler story, however, it was a very good one, and I thought it was nice to highlight Batgirl, due to the fact that a lot of times she gets kind of like the short end of the stick. And that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.